Ian, we good? Okay.
What is it that we can do that is unique, that is impactful? We are going to empower every individual to do more and achieve more.
That's what technology really is. It's possibility.
Listen. You have more power at your fingertips than entire generations that came before you. Tomorrow is here today.
What will you do?
What will you do with it?
So this is an augmented reality device called HoloLens.
Wow. People can really use it to take things to the next level. That's what technology is supposed to do. That can change the world.
Please welcome Corporate Vice President, Microsoft AI, Mitra Azizirad.
Good afternoon. We are thrilled to have you with us today. And if you're ready for something a little different, you have come to the right place. We're not going to talk about what we've done or current products or services or what we're doing now. We're going to talk about where we're going and what we're doing to get there. And we're going to share some major technology trends and how we're innovating for the future. And innovation hinges on seeing things differently. And you're going to hear directly from Microsoft researchers who are doing exactly that, sharing their ideas and how they're innovating. And we hope to inspire you to innovate along with us. So first, I'd like to give you a perspective on how we approach innovation at Microsoft. So it's predicated first on meaningful innovation for lasting impact. So it's super important for us to make sure that we're making that available to you through our tools and services, because we believe the next breakthroughs are going to come from every industry and companies like yours, not just technology providers. And it's super important how that innovation is applied. We have a concerted focus at Microsoft in terms of how we bring our incubations and projects into mainstream products, and we help you do the same. So as we think about whether you are transforming your entire business or looking to tackle some of society's toughest challenges, it's about applying that innovation for the broadest impact. And third, we believe that technology must be developed responsibly in a way that earns trust. Society is demanding that we have innovations that make our lives better, but that can also be trusted. So we consistently are asking those questions of not just what technology can do, but what it should do. So I'm going to cover the 4 major paradigm shifts that we're going to talk about today. And the first is artificial intelligence. Think about the last 20 to 30 years where software has transformed every industry and has become a core competitive differentiator. Every company became a software company, but that's really shifting and changing because AI is now redefining software. So with AI, software can learn through data and experiences without having to be explicitly programmed, and it can perceive the world around us through speech and understanding. Over the next decade, every company is going to become an AI company. And the future of AI depends on the future of computing, which will be redefined to meet the requirements of this AI-driven world. Everything is becoming more and more connected with more data being generated every day. So we have to rethink our current approaches around computing, networking, and storage to handle this exponential growth, but in a sustainable way. And with AI and new ways of computing, it gives us tremendous opportunity to rethink the way that humans and machines interact. Machines will learn from how humans are communicating versus us having to learn how to communicate with the machine. And more natural interfaces that understand our context will bring technology to more people and allow us to do more with it. And as the capabilities and impact of technology evolve, it's critical that we jointly guide this evolution in a responsible manner. Digital responsibility is more than just a set of principles and practices. It's an area of innovation in and of itself, and it requires alternative approaches and technological breakthroughs. So today we're going to dive into each of these 4 areas. And let's just start with AI. There have been amazing breakthroughs in the field of AI over the past several years. And in 2016, we were the first to achieve human parity for vision. A Microsoft research team developed a new neural network architecture called ResNet that took deep learning to the next level. And over the past several years, we've been the first to achieve human parity across all these different areas, most recently with general language understanding, which was a huge milestone in the field of AI. But it's not about celebrating these breakthroughs. It's about what you can do with them and innovate on top of them. A great example is the Snow Leopard Trust, which is a nonprofit dedicated to protecting snow leopards. Aren't they beautiful? She knows she is. Snow leopards, unfortunately, are an endangered species with 4,000 to 6,000 remaining in Central Asia. Snow Leopard Trust placed cameras that generate hundreds of thousands of images to track them, requiring huge amounts of manual analysis. The Snow Leopard Trust decided to use a ResNet neural network to actually automate the process and was able to get much more accurate data and save precious time. So let's have some fun. It's our first interactive, immersive experience. Would you like to try what the ResNet system looks like? Would you like to interact with it? Is everybody ready? Good. So if you haven't already, go to this URL and access our companion app. Everybody here and everybody watching online can participate. So we're calling this Beat the ResNet. And once you're connected, click on the first experience. You're going to see an image of a Rocky Mountain landscape that looks like what you see up there. You can zoom in, you can pan out. Your job, should you choose to accept it, is to spot as many snow leopards as you can, count them, select your final answer. We'll be tallying the answers in real time to see who could get them all. Are you ready? Ready? Go for it. Go ahead and keep looking, because this system actually processes thousands of pictures in seconds, but I'm feeling super generous with you tonight, so I'm giving you 25 seconds to look closely for those snow leopards. And we've got answers coming in already, and your time is running out. 3, 2, 1, devices down. Okay, so for the most part, people think that there are 4 leopards, 34% at 4 leopards. So what is the right answer? 6 leopards, so there were 6 leopards. Most people saw 4, but so see the ones that you might have missed. That's what's great about the Rocky Mountain landscape. They're kind of camouflaged there. But this was a little taste of what we mean by human parity. So when I talk about human parity from a vision perspective, it's a lot better than a lot of people's own sort of parity. But 26% did see 6 leopards. So thanks to this technology, Snow Leopard Trust is having incredible impact. And in Kyrgyzstan, they've not only stopped the population decline, but were able to reverse it. And so these AI breakthroughs are amazing, but they're still constrained to these individual areas of speech and vision and understanding. And the future of AI will mean that we bring these capabilities together and have the ability to reason across all of them simultaneously using general knowledge. Today, machines must be fed huge amounts of data, but imagine being able to teach the machine from your own knowledge, much like a teacher would with a student. This concept is called machine teaching, and to share more, I'd like to invite Mark Hammond, General Manager of Autonomous Systems, on stage. Mark? Thank you.
Thanks. With each major technology wave, we see a common pattern. The potential is so large, but it requires some key innovations to empower widespread realization of that potential. Desktop application development flourished with the advent of the graphical user interface and event-driven programming. Web development moved from static content to rich applications with the introduction of scripting, MVC, and AJAX. And cloud-based development is now blossoming with transparent infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and DevOps capabilities. Today, I want to talk to you about one of those innovations for AI, machine teaching. Teaching is the natural complement to learning. And just as with the technology waves before it, it's central to realizing the full potential of AI. Let's take a closer look. When I want to teach my son how to hit a ball, it really isn't important that I understand the mechanics of the inner workings of his brain. But it does matter that I know that throwing fastballs at a 7-year-old is a really bad idea for helping him acquire that skill. It's really far more natural for me to take a wiffle ball and put it on a tee and let him practice, set the tee to pop the ball in the air, let him practice again, throw underhand from close range, and so on, as we build up the skills that are needed to hit that fastball. In human terms, this is really natural. In AI terms, this is the distinction between machine learning and machine teaching. This core abstraction is very valuable. Both of these aspects of intelligence, the mechanics of learning and the art and science of teaching, are necessary complements to build sophisticated intelligent systems. It's just that the vast majority of applications today are built using a single, basic teaching technique, acquiring knowledge through vast amounts of data. Now, you wouldn't want your doctor learning purely from books with data-oriented learning. You want them to have practice. You want them to have the guidance of experienced experts. With the addition of more teaching abstractions, we can increase the sophistication and capabilities of the systems we build by enabling humans to infuse their knowledge into the systems. You're likely doing this already without even realizing it. Just think about junk mail for a moment. Every time you classify a piece of mail as junk, you are transferring a very small amount of knowledge that you have into a machine learning system. But have you ever stopped and wondered, why can't I just tell the system why this mail is junk? Wouldn't it be far more efficient if I could just explain why I don't want to see mail like this? It turns out, indeed, teaching a system can greatly facilitate this. And as you'd expect, there are machine teaching analogs for all the natural concepts that we derive from the art and science of teaching. In my own group's work in autonomous systems, we're focused on empowering engineers to leverage their deep subject matter expertise to teach these systems. When you pair it with key technologies like simulation and reinforcement learning, it allows you to build incredibly sophisticated solutions that just weren't possible before. Let's take a look at a few of these techniques in a little bit more detail. First off, how do you express to the system what its objective is? This can get pretty tricky because it's pretty easy to fall prey to what's known as the Cobra effect, getting what you incentivize instead of what you intend. So called because, as the story goes, when the British government wanted to reduce the number of venomous snakes in Delhi, they offered a bounty. But in fact, what happened is they increased the number of snakes because the population learned that if we bred snakes, we could collect more bounty. Here we see that with a robotic arm. In this application, we're trying to do something pretty straightforward. We want the robotic arm to pick up the cube, stretch out as far as possible, and put the cube down. And so we think, all right, I'll provide it a reward that increases the farther away the cube gets from the arm. Pretty straightforward. But naturally, what the arm learns to do is first to smack the cube. Then it learns to pick the cube up and throw the cube. Clearly, we need better ways to codify our objectives. One natural way is to decompose the problem into a set of constituent concepts that form a hierarchy. Here, we want the robotic arm to learn how to stack blocks. Trying to write a singular reward function that encompasses the entire task would be extremely difficult and error-prone. But when we break it down, it becomes far simpler. And further, we're able to take advantage of classical programming techniques and controllers for the concepts that are well understood. No one needs to teach a system, a robotic arm in this case, how to move between 2 points. Robotic arms have been programmed to do that very efficiently already, so we can simply skip teaching that. For those concepts we do need to teach, we ought to follow that intuitive notion from that example of teaching my son how to hit a ball and progressing through lessons of increasing difficulty. This is a technique called curriculum learning. Here you see a code fragment of a machine teaching programming language called Inkling. It allows us to express these notions of rewards, concepts, and curricula naturally. In this example, we want to teach this robot how to lift a table while following a human's lead. We're simulating a human on the other side of the table, applying varying levels of force. And we're providing lessons that progressively increase the range of those simulated forces that the learning agent is going to observe. Instead of having to explore randomly, this agent is thus able to follow the teacher's guidance for how to master this skill. Another technique that's often used is demonstration, showing a learning agent how to accomplish a task. Okay, so here's a fun life hack. Most of us have learned how to cut up a mango by first slicing against the seed, cutting a crosshatch pattern, and inverting it so that we can get access to the fruit. It turns out there's another way. After you slice against the seed, you can simply run it against the side of a glass, whereupon the fruit will be fully peeled and fall into the glass quite nicely. Sometimes it turns out a demonstration is the most efficient way to teach a solution. Teaching using these techniques benefits greatly from being able to set up scenarios in virtual environments where agents can learn. Here you see a video from AirSim, Microsoft's simulator that targets aerial drone use cases. By modeling sensor data and the myriad conditions that you find in real life, you can safely train these systems for scenarios like the power line inspection case you see here. And you can take situations where very limited data exists. In this example, we're seeing footage of real-world detection of poachers in the wild. As you can imagine, a data set like this is not expansive and is hard to come by. With simulation, we're able to generate an unlimited amount of virtual data that we can use to train these systems to accomplish these important tasks. Here we see an example of a Toyota factory floor in which a forklift drone is learning to navigate its environment, identify pallets with goods on them that need to be moved around, and take them to where they're needed for the handling of that material within this environment. And as you may have seen in Satya's keynote on Monday, there was a team from CMU and Oregon State that took part and won the DARPA Subterranean Challenge, tackling search and rescue applications in mines. When you saw that in his keynote, you saw the real-life footage of those autonomous systems in motion. What you're seeing here is the simulation environment in which they were trained. And yes, there's autonomous vehicles as well, but perhaps in ways that might surprise you. More often than not, you see things like construction equipment, where what you want to do is augment and enhance the ability of the operators to carry out tasks in efficient and effective ways, much more close to the way the ABS brakes in your car work than to a fully autonomous vehicle. And since machine teaching lets us codify what to teach and how to teach it, the doors are open to a wide array of benefits inherent in software development. It affords mechanisms for reuse and taking advantage of advances in machine learning technology without having to rework your entire project. Fundamentally, what to teach and how to teach it does not change, even as the underlying machine learning algorithms do. It affords mechanisms for trustworthiness, safety boundaries, explainability, and reduction of bias. You're no longer debugging by splunking through large data sets looking for where the data that is causing the problem is. You can debug by adding lessons, adding concepts, adjusting your curricula accordingly. It affords mechanisms for scaling human expertise, where we see large volumes of data that we can't possibly process in real time, but we can teach a system what we're looking for and use it to provide decision support as we work with these pieces of data all coming in at us at high velocity. And it affords mechanisms for real-world application, working in the complex, highly dynamic environments of real life. As we look to the future, we believe machine teaching is one of those key abstractions that will unlock the widespread adoption of AI. Because while not everyone need deeply know the inner mechanics of a brain or a neural network, everyone has something truly valuable that they know how to teach. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Now, moving on to our second paradigm shift. Computing power has come a long way. A smartphone today has 300 times more computing power than a Cray 2 supercomputer in the mid-'80s. But yet, our method of computing has not changed all that much. With rapid advancements in AI, we're hitting up against the sort of limits of where our technology can take us, and so we need to rethink computing. And first, as we think about it, computing is ubiquitous today. It's going to become even more ubiquitous. More data is being created every day, coming from your watches, clothing, appliances, even things we have not yet imagined. We need more computing, and we need the ability to bring intelligence to where the data is being created. It requires more networking, power to transmit the data, and more storage to contain it. And as we think about this explosion of data, it requires more computing power in the data centers. With today's technology, data centers will account for 20% of the total world's electricity usage and 5% of carbon emissions by 2025, and that's untenable. We have to find new technologies that are sustainable, that provide the capacity, the speed, and the efficiency that we need. And it takes bold thinking to do that, even taking entire data centers underwater like we did with Project Natick. The only way forward is to redefine computing beyond silicon. Exciting paradigms like optics and quantum will help us reimagine the data center. The use of light and materials like glass can help us redefine computing and break free from legacy thinking. Imagine the ability to store terabytes of data in a virtually indestructible, low-cost, sustainable form of media. To learn more, I want to invite Ant Rostron, who is a principal researcher and deputy lab director. Ant?
Thank you very much for that introduction.
Thank you. Thanks, Ant.
And hello, Ignite. So in the next 10 minutes, I'd like to tell you about some of the work we're doing in optics. But before I start telling you about it, I want to tell you a little bit about the journey that we've been on to get to the point where we can do it. Because, as a software company, you probably don't expect us necessarily to be doing work in optics. So about 5 years ago in Microsoft Research in Cambridge, we had a very traditional sort of systems team full of computer scientists, all looking at how we might build more efficient software and software systems to run inside our cloud. And what we realized as we were building these systems is that increasingly we were getting frustrated because we weren't able to go sort of below the units that we were having to build with, hard disk drives or other things like that. So what we did was we decided we should build out a team that was much more interdisciplinary. And the team we've built out has optical physicists, electronic engineers, mechanical engineers, material scientists, physicists. And we've all come together to look at how to create from the ground up new technologies that will unlock the future potential of networking, storage, and compute. Now, why it's an exciting time for these things is because if you look at the incumbent technologies in all three of those areas, what you can see is that they're sort of on an S-curve, and all technology exists on this S-curve. Now, when a technology starts, it's quite slow, and then it sort of gets into its pace. Hard disk drives doubling capacity every 2 years, or Moore's law for compute. But then at some point, the technology runs out of steam, and it rolls over. So we're all very familiar with that for compute. But both in networking and storage, we're starting to see the signs that that's going to happen. And that gives us an opportunity to think of new technologies that we can bring online that will start the next S-curve. So I want to try to give you just a really bit of a glimpse into what we're doing. And I'm going to start by talking about some of the work we're doing in networking. Now, if you think of a data center today, you have racks in the data center. Each rack is full of servers, and they're connected to a top-of-rack switch. And when a server wants to send a packet from one rack to another rack, what happens is the server sends it to the top-of-rack switch. The top-of-rack switch looks at where that's got to go, and then it decides where to forward it. And when it does that, it converts it from electrons to photons, and it sends that down a fiber optic cable to the next switch. When it arrives at the next switch converts it back from photons to electrons, looks at where it's trying to get to, and this is then repeated as it goes from switch to switch to switch. Now, this clearly has two challenges. One, it's not very energy efficient to keep doing the conversions. And the second thing is that it also has a latency implication. So I want to give you a feel for what we're thinking and what we're trying to do in Microsoft Research in Cambridge. So if you look at a prism has a really basic property of refraction. If you shine into its sunlight, it will separate it out into the component colors. And this is the property that we're extremely keen to try to exploit. So I have a little demo here. Now, this effectively is the prism. And each of these blocks think of as a server. And here, I have a light source. When I put my finger on that one, it's a blue light source, and it's coming out there. When I put it there, it's a green light source, and it's coming out there. And when I put it on that one, it's red, and it's coming out there. So and this is a passive component, so just shining the light into it allows us to select where it goes. Now, that's the base property that we would like to exploit. Now, of course, the challenge is doing that with my finger, we can do it very slowly, and it's really great. If you try to do this in a network, you need to do this changing of the light wavelength very, very fast. And here, just there, I have an optical chip. And this is one that we've designed and made in Microsoft Research in Cambridge. And this chip is able to select between different wavelengths at sub-nanosecond. Now, I can't show it to you connected to anything here, but if we can go back to the slides, what I have here is a little film of the chip inside a probe station in Cambridge. You can see the chip in the center, and you can see the cables, one of them a fiber optic cable, attached to it, which we use it to actually test the chip. The next thing I'd like to talk to you about is about storage. Now, in the keynote that Satya gave, he talked about storing Superman in a piece of glass. I don't have that here. Instead, I have this piece of glass, and this piece of glass has the Win 10 ISO for the latest release stored in it. Now, I can't show you how we write it. I'm sorry. So when I look at this, it's almost transparent to me. It's incredibly hard to see the data inside it. Effectively, it looks like this picture here. But if we light it from the right angle, you can actually see the data stored inside it. And that data is the bluey sort of bluey texture that you see there. Now, I can't bring a write head with me. This is a footage of the write head working in our lab in Cambridge. What I want to do is explain to you a little bit about the technology that goes into that write head. We use a femtosecond laser, and we focus the femtosecond laser inside the piece of glass. And we fire the laser into the glass. At that point where it's focused, we create what we call a voxel. Think of it as a small sort of iceberg-like structure inside the glass. And we can control the depth and the orientation of that in order to encode data in it. Now, I can't bring with me a read head either, but what I have got here is a microscope. Let me just switch it on. Here you can see the piece of glass which is inside, which is on the microscope. Let me now just tune this. There we go. So what you can see on the screen is looking at one layer, one XY plane of data inside this piece of glass. What you see are the squares, which we call sectors, and each one of those is full of thousands and thousands of voxels. The sort of stippling that you see within inside each of those squares is the data that's stored inside it. Now, in Satya's keynote, we had a little video of doing some things to the glass. I thought it'd be really fun today if we actually did that live on stage. So if anyone thinks it's a conspiracy theory and we didn't really do those things to the bit of glass, we can show it live. So if you could open up your app and please go again to this to the companion app. I'm going to take the bit of glass out of here, and I'm going to take it over here. I'm going to put my safety goggles on so that I don't hurt myself, and I'm going to put my coat on. Can we go to the next slide to see the starting of the voting, please? Now, I'm all hoping that you won't select the boiling, because this is the one that's most likely to hurt me as we do this from the practices. We've got about another 10 seconds, I think, to pick. No, 1 second. Okay, thanks everyone. I really appreciate it. I can see you on my side. So, boiling being the first one. So here I have a kettle. I have the piece of glass. Let me pop it up. I'm just going to pop it in there. Now, please don't try this with your hard disks or your flash drives. I guarantee you they will fail. Okay, let me take it out. Switch that off. Okay, I can see it, and it looks fine still. And in a minute, I'll take it back to the microscope, but let me do the second one. Can I go back? What was the second one? The degausser. So let me pop it on the degausser. Let me switch it on. Now that's not very exciting, and you're probably thinking it's not doing anything. Let me take this metal pen. If I get close enough, you can probably hear it quite happily. So let me just have another quick look at that. It's fine. Let me take it back over here. I'm going to clean it up a bit with the cloth. I'm going to put it back in the holder. Let me pop it back into there. And let me just fine-tune the focus. And there you can see quite happily the data is still there. You can see a few dots on it, and that's a little bit of dust. Let me just... No, it's on the lenses. So that's sort of showing you doing some of these things live. The last thing that I'd like to talk to you about is about another area, which is compute. And we're just beginning to start our work on thinking about how we could reimagine compute using optical components. Now, one of the things that amazed me, and I'm a computer scientist, was when some of my colleagues came to me and said, do you know that a lens like this can do a Fourier transform? So if you take a nice picture of a cat and you shine it through this lens, you'll actually get the Fourier transform of that cat. Now, as many people know, as computer scientists, we spend a lot of time thinking about fast Fourier transforms. That really is a fast Fourier transform, because that's at the speed of light. And what we're doing is we're thinking about how we can perhaps create new machine learning algorithms that are built and designed from the ground up to exploit the kind of properties and the kind of building blocks that we can create in the optical space. So with that, I'd like to summarize. I'd like to thank you for listening to me. I'd like to tell you that we're working on this technology. It's some years away, hopefully in the storage and the networking and the compute side. Over the next few years, one or more of them may manage to make it into our data centers. And hopefully you'll remember that you saw about it here first. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Anne.
Thank you.
Awesome. I told you it was going to be a little bit of a different kind of keynote. True story, we actually wanted to bring a torch on stage. The fire marshal didn't allow it. You guys are just way too valuable to Microsoft for us to do that. So advances in AI and computing are enabling us to also reimagine how humans and machines will interact. So we're moving on to our third paradigm shift, which is all about the future of human-machine interaction. And so AI is enabling us to move a lot further beyond mice and keyboards to more natural user interfaces like eye tracking, voice, and gestures. HoloLens 2 is redefining interaction. When you put it on for the first time, it intuitively knows, you intuitively know how to use it. It adapts to your hands, your gestures, your environment, even your intent. Our vision for natural user interfaces also has incredible advantages for the 1 billion people across the world with disabilities. We are very focused on how technology can remove physical barriers with the world. And Microsoft Research is working on autonomous wheelchairs and 3D audio experiences, among many other things. And the possibilities are really limitless. So today, as we think about how we interact with machines, it's in a very transactional way. They follow our instructions, but don't understand our context. The future will be about context-driven interactions. Imagine never having to learn to use a new tool again, but having the tool adapt to us and learn from us about our intent in real time. Think about how it could change the way you work. Say you're starting a new project and you want to very quickly find subject matter experts with relevant experience in your organization, or gain valuable learnings from previous projects, or even have intuitive guidance step by step along the way. In a way, extending your own expertise through the knowledge that your organization collectively has gathered over time. More natural and context-driven interaction also leads to deeper human connection. And the future of human-machine interaction needs to bring together art and science and beautiful and immersive experiences that free us from being glued to our screens. Technology should help us actually experience and enjoy the world around us, focusing on the people and things that matter and allowing us to stay present in the moment. To share with you more what we're doing here, I'd like to introduce Asta Roseway, Principal Research Designer. Asta.
Thank you, Mitra. Hi, everyone. So, nowadays, people are glued to their phones, whether to play games, chat, or just by habit. People feel like they might be missing something. But ironically, they could be missing the very magic that life provides simply by being unaware of it. So what if we could do everything we do today without the need of our screens? What if we could augment our senses to hear and see beyond the physical? How might that change our relationship with the world around us? We call this the next Renaissance. Soundscape uses 3D audio-based technology, so now anyone, regardless of ability, can hear their way through new or unfamiliar places. For instance, if I'm on vacation in Kyoto and I want to find the nearest temple, I can now use my ears to find it.
Fushimi Inara Taisha. Kiyomizu-dera Temple is a block away on the right.
With Soundscape, I can move fluidly between spaces with a sense of knowing what's around me. The quality of our experiences is enhanced because we are now re-engaged with life around us, and that's just the beginning. We are evolving the idea of IoT and connected devices towards detecting and revealing the invisible, like pollution. We believe this will fundamentally shift our perception. Perhaps it might even prompt collective action. So what if we could experience air quality in ways that feel more personal and profound? A crazy idea, perhaps, but not impossible. Project Eclipse is piloting a network of low-cost sensors that can monitor air quality in real time at a hyperlocal level. Data is instantly uploaded into Azure for analysis with the help of 5G cellular technology. Now, like Soundscape, I can tune my ears to hear that minor chords mean bad air and major chords mean good air. I think those were supposed to be chimes. All right, you guys can let's just roll with this. We can even incorporate those very signals into the clothes we wear. You guys, it's a dragon scarf. This is amazing. Yes, clap. It's a dragon scarf. It's amazing. Okay. All right. With Project Brookdale, our wearables platform, anyone can augment their own clothing and transform it into a smart wearable. I've connected my scarf to the Eclipse network, so now it responds to the air quality changes in real time. So red indicates that the air is unhealthy here, so I think I'll head for a park. And now I can see and hear how the air changes in real time as I walk into the park. And as the air quality gets better, my scarf turns from red to yellow to green. Now, let's go even further into the future. Imagine being able to converse with our natural surroundings, such as trees or plant life. What if we could understand what they're communicating? And how might those experiences alter our relationship with the natural world? Project Florence explores a potential future where humans and plants can converse. We use NLP text translation and sensing technologies to convert our language into a light spectrum that plants can respond to electrochemically in combination with their sensor data. What began as an art and science exploration suddenly infers a future of augmented agriculture where farmers and their crops can communicate. Rain is coming. As we become more fully immersed in our environment, this will expand into the very places where we work and live. This year, the Microsoft Research Artist in Residence program brought this concept to life. Ada is our latest project in collaboration with Jenny Sabin Studio. Ada explores what might happen if the architecture of the building you're in could sense and actively respond to you. This is Building 99 in Redmond. I can't literally take you there to see it, but we can bring Ada here. Okay, now it's time to get to your Experience app, and you will now experience a 360-degree view of Ada. And in the meantime, I will explain. So, Ada explores the concept of living architecture. She is a giant knitted pavilion of light that is driven by people and powered by AI. Now, as you guys, some people will have phones that you can't use the gyroscope, and some you can just use your finger, so go for it. Ada is the collective mind inside the building, responding to the inhabitants through a series of colors and light patterns. She's comprised of over 850 uniquely 3D printed nodes of nylon, 1,286 fiberglass rods, and digitally knitted fabric cones that stretch across her surface. And when I smile at her, she smiles back. Everything I've shown you today is being created in our labs. Some are products that are available now, like Soundscape. Some are prototypes, while others are explorations like Ada. They all have something in common, though. They all strive to bring forth a future that is pushing us beyond our screens and back into the world so that we can reconnect in ways that are more meaningful and profound. To make that vision a reality, we need to work together, experience different perspectives, cross boundaries, fields, and disciplines, and disrupt our comfort zone. That's good because that's growth. Welcome to the next Renaissance. Thank you.
Thank you, Asta. So Asta gave me one of these scarves backstage, and I know red is supposed to be, the bad pollution one, but kind of goes with my hair. But I really got to tell you, I'm getting this amazing Mother of Dragons vibe going on right now. It's awesome. So the 3 areas we've covered so far, all are critical in terms of how we're looking forward. But they will only have positive impact if we can build them in a way that is responsible and trusted. And so responsible innovation is really starting with principles that reflect your core values, your intent, your goals. And at Microsoft, we established 6 principles that guide all the people that are creating, applying, and using AI, from fairness and transparency and privacy and more. And to make these principles real, we have to rethink how we develop software. We need new practices that redefine every step in the development cycle. And to bring these practices to life, we need tools. And we're pioneering tools to help you in that regard, such as for transparency, the work that we're doing with explainable AI to open up the black box of AI models to make those decisions more transparent. And from a privacy and security perspective, Microsoft Research is making great advances in homomorphic encryption and differential privacy to help keep our personal data private. Only by developing AI responsibly can society really trust it. So building on this foundation of trust, technology can help change the world for the better. Societal change and taking on the toughest challenges like biodiversity and climate change and farming requires an even greater scale of innovative ideas. One of my favorite examples is WildMe, which is one of our AI for Earth grantees. WildMe had an innovative idea that was pure magic. To use AI not only to identify entire species, but also to identify and know each individual animal in the population. As it turns out, whale shark spots are very much like human fingerprints. Each one has a unique pattern and number of spots that identify it. Interestingly, the algorithm was originally used by NASA to do something quite different. They used it to identify constellations by matching patterns of stars. Applied to whale sharks and zebras and turtles, and by the way, they call it IoT, Internet of Turtles, which I love. This allows WildMe to have the most accurate census at the individual animal level. To better understand their behavior, their threats, and their behaviors, it's the only way for us to be able to protect them. Imagine what these types of innovations can do in other fields. If we can deeply understand how biological systems work and design new systems designed on nature, we can tackle some of humanity's toughest challenges around healthcare, agriculture, and energy. To share more about the next big revolution of biocomputing, I'd like to invite Sara-Jane Dunn, Senior Scientist. Thank you. Sara, thank you.
The 20th century witnessed a technological revolution, the software revolution. At its heart, it was defined by our ability to encode ones and zeros on silicon. But now we're at the beginning of a new technological revolution. But it's not one about ones and zeros. It's going to be about our ability to encode A's, G's, C's, and T's, the building blocks of DNA. And this new revolution in programming biology is going to empower the world's scientists to fight diseases that currently evade our defenses, to program crops to produce more food to feed a hungry planet, and to develop new strategies to power our world in sustainable, climate-friendly ways. And it might be possible sooner than you think. The biotech industry has many of the tools already to make programming biology a reality. Scientists can precisely edit genes with CRISPR. They can rewrite the genetic code one base at a time. They can even build functioning synthetic circuits out of DNA. But figuring out how and when to leverage these tools has remained a process of trial and error. It requires deep expertise and years of specialization. So programming biology is not yet as simple as programming your computer. But if you think about it, cells essentially are biological computers. They have to perform computation. So let's think about an example. Let's think about the humble household plant, like that one sat on your mantelpiece at home that you keep forgetting to water. Every day, despite your neglect, that plant has to wake up and figure, how is it going to allocate its resources? Will it grow, photosynthesize, produce seeds or flower? And these are, this is a problem that has to be solved at the level of the whole organism, but a plant doesn't have a brain to coordinate it all. It has to make do with the cells on its leaves. Those cells have to take in information from the environment and process that information and make decisions that ultimately affect the whole organism. So that's an information processing problem. And there must be a kind of program running inside these cells, one that responds to input signals and shapes what that cell will do. And then those programs must operate in a distributed way across cells, allowing them to coordinate so the plant can grow and flourish. So if we could figure out the biological programs that run inside cells, like those on the leaves of your forgotten plant, it would transform our ability to understand how and why cells do what they do. Because if we understood these programs, we could debug them when things go wrong. Or we could learn from them how to design synthetic structures that leverage the power of biochemistry in new ways. And this is what Station B, the team I work with at Microsoft, is doing. We sit at the intersection of biology and computer science, and we're working to develop an integrated platform to allow scientists to program biology effectively and safely. And we want to make it as simple and as robust as we've made programming electrons on silicon. So let's take a simple example. Let's see how we could go about designing, building, and testing a biological program. So imagine we want to make a cell respond to a particular signal, like maybe a kind of chemical input, and we want it to fluoresce in response to that input. So it's a bit like getting an LED strip to light up if you give it some electricity, but with cells. And at that level of altitude, both of these paradigms kind of look the same, okay? But the challenge is to create designs that are consistent with how cells process information. So in transistor-based circuits, we have switches and resistors, but in biology, we have to connect things like receiver and signal proteins, and those are encoded in the letters of the DNA alphabet. And just like we have developed programming languages to abstract from the complexity of electrons, in our team, we've developed a programming language to design genetic circuits. And here you can see a simple example of a circuit that encodes this fluorescent response to an input signal. And then, just as I can compile any software and simulate its behavior before moving to production, I can also compile and simulate the behavior of my biological program. And once I'm happy with my design, I'll share it with my colleagues, just as you would share your code on GitHub. We have a knowledge base where we store the data that we collect from experiments, and it also has an inventory of genes and circuits that we've already built in our lab. So then we have to build the design. Now, with traditional computing, we don't need to worry about this because CPUs or FPGAs can be reprogrammed. So think instead about a PCB board or an ASIC. You have to build it specifically for the use case that you need it for. And it's the same with biological circuits, but instead, to build that circuit, we need to stitch together specific pieces of DNA, and we use robots to do just that. Each circuit requires the right combination of DNA pieces. So the robot goes and picks and chooses from our library to find the right ones. It's pretty cool. And then just as you test your applications, we have to do the same with biology. So we use our robots to do automated experiments with different chemical conditions. It's the same kind of thing you would do if you were testing your chatbot with different lines of dialogue. And we can test the behavior of our program with different inputs. And we can use experimental plates like these, which allow us to run our experiments in parallel. And with all of these tests, we feed our knowledge base. We combine the new data with all of our previously collected data, and we use machine learning to parameterize mathematical models that help us with our future design decisions. And just as we planned, we can see how that DNA circuit encodes the desired function in bacterial cells, causing them to fluoresce in response to an input signal. And through the companion app, you're now invited to look down that microscope with us to examine these fluorescing cells. So first of all, you'll see our biologist Paul sitting at the microscope in our wet lab in Cambridge. If you zoom in, you'll start to see colonies of bacteria glowing with different levels of fluorescent protein. But keep zooming in, because at one point you'll reach the level of individual cells. They look like little pills, and you can see what they're each doing. Now, there is still a lot of work ahead of us. As Mitra mentioned before, responsibility can never be an afterthought. Every technology is a tool that, even when used for good, can have unintended consequences, and the same is true here. We're at the very early stages of this new revolution, but we know it requires deep consideration. And we can only move forward with our eyes wide open and in partnership with the scientific community. So our effort is collaborative. We work with selected technology, commercial, and academic partners. And every organization in this collaboration is committed to putting the necessary safeguards in place and asking the difficult questions up front. And with these considerations in mind, once we understand biological computation sufficiently, and once we've refined the tools to design, build, and test biological programs, then everything I spoke of earlier will be possible and more. Rebuilding organs for transplantation, producing self-organizing, self-repairing materials, fertilizers and chemicals that allow us to leave fossil fuels in the ground. So this can completely transform medicine, agriculture, and energy. So if we realize it, and we do need to realize it, its impact will be so enormous that it will make the first software revolution pale in comparison. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sara-Jane. Thank you, Sara-Jane, and thank you to all of our amazing speakers. We hope you've enjoyed this time with us reimagining the future, and we hope we've inspired you. We had some bold ideas here, and you got to meet the innovators behind them, and we look forward to continuing this conversation with you beyond Ignite. Today, we're proud to announce a new initiative that is really focused on showcasing these kinds of meaningful innovation and how we're envisioning the future from an alternative perspective. We're calling this initiative ALT. And ALT is about alternative views and fresh and different perspectives around the challenges that we all jointly face. You'll have the opportunity to learn more about it and to dive in deeper. You can learn more from our site, Microsoft.com/innovation. We are honored to have you join us on this journey of innovation. We hope you enjoyed the time with us today. Thank you very much.
Innovation hinges on our ability to see things differently. Breaking boundaries and looking between the lines in an effort to solve some of the world's toughest challenges. Working together across disciplines and pushing ourselves to see the future from an alternative perspective.